But basically, today I'm going to talk about my journey, so how I developed a bad relationship with my body and food, and basically how did my fitness journey start in the first place. Yeah, so I'm just going to wait a few seconds, see if anyone pops in. So I'm going to use the, I did a presentation at my old high school not too long ago where I shared my, the same thing, my fitness journey, how I developed a bad relationship with food, my body, all that stuff. So I just have it like right here on my laptop. So if I look down, that's why. It's just all organized on a PowerPoint, so I figured I would use the same thing to guide me, so I don't forget any key points and stuff like that. Yeah, alright. So basically, everything kind of started, I don't remember how old I was actually. When I think about it, I think I was about 10, I would say like 12 or 13. Hi, Shitty! So I think I was about 12 or 13, something like that. It was summer vacation at school. So my family is from Quebec. So basically my family, like my parents and my brother, we all went to Quebec at my grandparents like we did every single summer because most of our like big family is there. So that's what we did. So we went over there, and then usually when we get there, there's always this family supper that we have. So basically, hi Sonia. So basically, we had that supper as soon as we got there, and a family member commented on my weight. I was standing there next to my mom, and this family member was talking to my mom as I was standing right there, and he made it. That person, I said he, but that person made a comment about my weight. So I don't really remember what my initial reaction was. I think I just kind of brushed it off, but I'm not 100% sure because it was so long ago. But I do remember kind of getting a little bit obsessive with my appearance after that. If I remember correctly, it was that same day that I went into the washroom and I lifted my shirt up in the mirror just to see how my stomach looked, and that was my main obsession, like how my stomach looked, because I wanted a flat stomach, because I think the family member did make a comment about my stomach saying that I had, I got a little like chubbier, I guess. But I think honestly it was just me hitting puberty and getting like curves and stuff. So I don't think I was actually getting bigger because I was always a really small person. Just naturally I was always small. So I think just because I was hitting puberty and I had a little bit of curves, that family member said that. But anyways, I started obsessing about my appearance and kind of like freaking out about it. What I would do is that, actually, so we were there for a few days with my parents, but then, and my brother was there, but then eventually my parents left to go back to, hi Chantal, so they left to go back to Moncton, and we stayed in Quebec, my brother and I. We stayed at our grandparents' house. So I was very obsessed with burning calories because all I had in mind was I want to lose weight because apparently I was big. So in my head, I need to lose weight. I want my stomach to get flatter. So the only thing I knew at like 13 is just calories. To lose weight, you need to burn calories. So that's what I would do. We would go on walks. I would ask my grandparents, especially my grandfather, to go on walks all the time. So he would go with me and my brother, we'd go on walks. While my brother and my grandfather would just walk like normally, what I would do to burn more calories is that I would just run and then run back to where they were walking, run back to where they were walking, and I would do that over and over and over again, just because I wanted to burn calories. I honestly don't know why I just didn't like go for a run by myself. I think it's because I'm super bad with directions and it was just easier to go with them, I guess. I have no idea. Another thing I would do is that I would ask my brother to go to the park with me, the park that was close to my grandparents' house, and I would go on the swings because for me, the swing meant I would burn a lot of calories. I don't know why. In my head, going on the swing would burn a lot of calories, so that's what I did. Yeah. So I didn't even go to the park for like to have fun with my brother and to just be a kid. I went to the park because I wanted to burn calories and lose weight. So it's a little bit sad, but yeah, that's what happened. Another thing that I do remember that happened that is kind of like something I'll always kind of remember is that I used to drink a lot of milk. Like I would drink more milk than I would water, which is probably like not the best thing ever, but that's what I used to do. But then another family member commented saying that milk had a lot of calories. So then I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So then I stopped drinking milk altogether. So I just completely stopped drinking milk and I would just drink water. And I think I would drink juice because my grandparents would buy these kind of juice that has like, this juice has like 5 cups of fruits or something in it. So in my head I was like, super awesome, then I get to have some servings of fruits in there. So we all know that normally you have to look at the nutrition label and the ingredients before you can tell if that's really true or not. So I honestly don't remember if that was actually true, but I was really happy about those juices because I got to have my portions of fruits and veggies in them. Hi, Joel. All right. So if you see me looking down, it's just because I have my PowerPoint presentation that I used during my the presentation I did at my old high school about my relationship with food. So I'm just using the same thing to guide me to help like explain the story. And actually, let me see. Okay, I'm just gonna grab this. So at school, I think that was like the next year, like the summer was done, so now we're back in school. I'm pretty sure that was when that happened, but we had that kind of class in school where it was called Formation Personnelle et Sociale, so it was called FPS. And you'd learn about a lot of things like health related, like about sexuality, would learn about health and fitness and all that kind of stuff. And in that class, they gave us this thing here. So it's called Le Calcul Assiette. Basically, it's from the Canadian Food Guide, and it allows you to calculate your portions from like the Canadian Food Guide. So for each, how do you say that in English? For each, meat and substitutes and all that stuff. My translation might be really bad, but you had the portions for each, how do you call that? For each category, I can't remember how to say it. So I would use this as a way to track my portions. So fruits and veggies, I would track it. I could put like number 4. Let's say I had 4 portions, I would do that. I would do that for like breakfast, lunch, supper. Yes, food group. Thank you, Julie. Yes, thank you, Justin. Okay, so yeah, I would use that to calculate the portions for the different food groups. I had like a brain fart. I couldn't think of the word. So that was kind of like the equivalent of counting my calories when I was like, let's say 14 years old. I would do that for breakfast, lunch, and then for supper, I know my mom's watching this, but for supper, I wouldn't do it at the table, I don't think. I think I just went in my room to do it because I didn't really want my parents to know that I was calculating my portions because, I don't know, I thought it was weird. And I didn't want them to ask me questions or anything, so I would just go in my room and use this. My mom commented a smiley face. Well, now you know, Mom. And then a couple years later, I guess, I would do a lot of YouTube videos for physical activity. So I would use a lot of Fitness Blender, and I'm actually, looking back now, I'm really happy that I ended up on Fitness Blender and that I use them for my workouts, because I really like their message, and I think it kind of helped me in a way with my relationship with food and exercise and my body and all that stuff. So I'm really, really glad that I did find Fitness Blender. Before then, like, I think I only started doing that like when I was in high school. So before then, I played soccer, I took swimming lessons and stuff like that. So I guess that's how I stayed active. It's kind of blurry how I don't remember exactly what I did to keep like burning calories and stuff. I just know that when I got to high school, I started doing the workout videos on YouTube, and I would do Jillian Michaels videos and all that stuff as well. But then, since I was doing those workout videos and all that stuff, my body started changing. Yeah, so it started changing, you know, I got bigger booty, my waist got a little smaller. I was also like still getting puberty, so my body was changing also. So I used to get a lot of comments about my body saying like, damn girl, like you look at your booty and stuff like that. And that kind of encouraged me, but like in a bad way in a sense, because it just showed me that everything I was doing, so like the obsessing with my portions, my calories, and my working out and all that stuff, like it was like saying, oh, okay, keep doing what you're doing, although what I was doing was not very like healthy, mental wise, I would say. So let me see my next. Also, during high school, I did work at Burger King. So that was kind of a challenge, because obviously in my mind, everything at Burger King was just completely bad. So, hi Maddie! So everything at Burger King was bad. So I felt guilty regardless what I ate there. I think the only exception would be like the grilled chicken burger and the veggie burger or something like that. Yeah, so basically I would go on break and the only thing I would eat would be a smoothie, because I thought the smoothie was healthy, although I could see what was in the smoothie because we had to like press the pumps for each thing. So like there was a pump for yogurt, a pump for like, I don't even remember, it's been so long, a pump for something else, a pump for something else. Obviously it's not real food. And then you had like to take a scoop of like fruits, but it was obviously like kind of like a gel. It was really gross. You put that in the smoothie, then you all blend it up, and that's the smoothie. But that was the only thing that I would eat because I thought it was healthy. But then eventually, which I am going to talk a little bit more about later, eventually I would just kind of like snap, and I would have like all the food on the menu. Like not really, but I would just like order so much food. I would get like a Whopper meal with like a poutine, a large drink. I would get like nuggets on the side, like something like huge that like if I tried to eat that now, like I would just feel like so like just full and not like capable of eating all that food. But I would force myself to eat it because I was like, I snapped, I just bought everything, so I'm just gonna eat it, but I'm gonna eat it all because I know that the next day I'm not gonna be allowed to have any. So I would just like eat all the food, feel like incredibly like disgusting after, like not because of the food I ate, but just because like I ate so much. And my coworkers were just like, oh my god, did you really eat all of that? And they were like saying that like kind of like it was a good thing in a way, and it just made me feel even worse. So I would kind of do that. I would go from like only drinking smoothies at work to like eventually just having all the food, because it is tempting because you like work around it and you smell it and everything, but I would stop myself from having it all the time. But then eventually I would just snap and then just have like all the food. What else do I have here? So my relationship with exercise was always like pretty good. When I look back, I did divide everything pretty well. I would use like Fitness Blender, like I mentioned earlier. Well, they had a website and you could schedule in your workouts in a calendar. So that's what I used. I would do like a lower body day, a cardio day, abs. I don't know. It was still like pretty good. Obviously it wasn't like, I didn't know what I was doing, so it wasn't that great. But I was never really like super obsessive with exercise, I guess. I never went overboard with exercise. The only thing is that during the summer, I would go on walks from like supper to like sunset. So that's like from 5 p.m. to like, let's say 8 or 9 p.m. depending like when in the summer. So that's a lot of hours. That's like what, 4 hours? Yeah. So like that's still a lot, but I did truly enjoy it, and I would just put music on and just kind of like really enjoy the process, and I would think about like stupid stuff like my crush at school or my projects, and I would just kind of like, I guess it was like some sort of meditation, but I didn't really do it necessarily for burning calories, although it was kind of like in the back of my mind. But yeah, in general, it was like mostly good, and I kind of did it for the good reasons for the most part, but obviously I did think about calories a little bit, which kind of leads into the next point about counting calories, because I did start tracking calories. Basically, my parents went on a weight loss journey, and they started using an app to count their calories. So I saw that, and I don't think like by then, like in high school, I wasn't really using this anymore. I was kind of like just doing it in my head instead of taking this out all the time because, well, it looked kind of weird. So I just kind of did it in my head. So I was still kind of counting my portions. But then when my parents started counting calories, then I was like, man, this is so cool. I just put an app on my phone and I just do all of that. So that was like cool. So I started doing that. I started obviously getting obsessed with it. You get like with the app, if you set up your information, like your age, your weight, all that stuff, it tells you how many calories you should eat for maintenance or to lose weight or gain muscle, etc., etc. So I did set it up to lose fat. I don't remember. I think I still picked a decent like goal, which was just like a pound a week, which is okay. So I did focus on that. I wouldn't, like the calories, if I remember correctly, were actually not bad. Like I wasn't under eating, I would say, but I got obsessed with the numbers. So if it went over at all, like you would have like the line and then it was green, and then if you went over, it would be red. If I was in the red, I would freak out and obsess over it. Like the only thing that would go in my mind the whole time is just like obsessing, always at the back of my mind, whether I'm doing homework or anything or just watching TV with my parents. Like just the fact that I went over my calories would just go in my head over and over and over again. Yeah, so I didn't undereat with my calories, but I did have a lot of restrictions because a lot of stuff I would consider good food or bad food. So because of that, if I ate something that I considered bad food, I thought I was a bad person and I felt guilty about it. If all day I ate good food, then I felt that was a successful day. I felt good about it. Which we all know that now I say don't look at food as good or bad. But that's not what we're talking about today. Yes. Okay, so I had a lot of cycles of eating a lot. So I would restrict myself a lot. And so not allowed to eat cake, not allowed to eat this, not allowed to eat this. But then eventually, kind of like what I talked about when I worked at Burger King, I would just snap and then just eat everything possible, especially during the holidays. So like Thanksgiving or like Christmas supper and all that stuff. So I would just like restrict everything, tell myself that I'm not allowed to eat those foods and that I'm only allowed to eat this amount of food, or I'm just gonna focus on the healthy food. So I'm just gonna have the veggies, the meat, the potatoes, whatever, but I'm not gonna have anything else. Or if I am, I'm just gonna have a small portion. So that's what happened. So I would have all the food I want, I would just have like the food that I allowed myself. And then eventually when it came to dessert, let's say, I would have, okay, I'm just gonna allow myself, just this time, I'm gonna allow myself a cake, a slice of cake. So I would have it, but then I'm like, man, I ruined everything. I had cake. Now I'm not good anymore. I was like, F it. I'm just gonna have everything. So I would just start eating everything I could put my hands on, like everything, because I was like, if I allow myself that now, then I know that tomorrow I'm going back to my regular diet. So I'm just gonna allow myself everything I can eat now, and I'll go on my diet tomorrow. So it's like, no big deal. But then, because I knew that I only had that night or that period of time to eat all that food, I would just eat like all of it. And I'm pretty sure like my family would just look at me and be like, oh my God, like why is she eating so much? And I was also trying to do it like a little like discreetly, so that it didn't look that weird, but like I was just gonna like eating a lot. And I could tell like my family members were kind of like looking at me like, what the hell, why is she eating so much? Like yeah, it was just like not a very good cycle of just restricting myself so much and then just eventually snapping and eating everything. And the worst part is that the first time it happened, after that, it just happens over and over and over again, but the periods in between are so short. So the cycles repeat themselves like over and over again, like without a lot of time in between. So that's a lot of like going up and down in calories, and like that's a lot of stress on your body. So I definitely didn't have a very good relationship with food, and everything was just like so out of whack, like so out of control. So let me see here. Okay, yes. So basically what allowed me to kind of realize what I was doing was not healthy was that when I went, I think it was my last year in high school, so I was in 12th grade, 17, I went on a date with my boyfriend, which is still my boyfriend now. I think we've only been, by then it would have been like just a few months in the relationship. We went to Burger King for just before going to the movies, just like a casual, like, I guess you could say a date. I ordered just like a chicken sandwich, just a regular meal, whatever. And I started eating the food, but I was such in pain after taking like a few bites that I was literally like sitting like this, like in the Burger King seat, and I just like, I was such in pain and I couldn't handle it anymore, and I was just like not feeling good at all because I was eating so healthy that my body was just like, whoa, what is this? Like my body didn't appreciate me giving it a chicken burger at all. So my boyfriend, James, said, it's like, hey, this is not healthy. This is not healthy at all. And that's kind of like when I snapped out of it, and I was like, wow, like, because when all of that stuff happens, like all the cycles, all the bad relationship with food, all those thoughts, you're just kind of like in your own world. So you don't really realize what you're doing. You're just like in your own world, and for you it's normal. Okay, so someone could be technically watching this right now and dealing with the same things I was doing, but I don't think they would even realize that what I'm saying is what they're doing, if that makes sense. So when he said that, I was just like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, this is not normal. I shouldn't be like bent in half and like in pain just from eating a chicken burger, okay? Like, that's not good at all. So, I don't even remember if we did go to see the movie or not after that, but anyway, so after that, I kind of like slowly stopped counting my calories. It was obviously like very, very hard to do, because, oh, it makes sense. Yeah. So I stopped counting my calories little by little, but it ended up like, it was really, really hard because you end up liking that control. You like knowing what you're eating. Like, you like to know that you're at that amount of calories, because you feel like if you ever go over or if you're too low, you feel like your life's just gonna end. Like, you feel like it's just gonna like ruin you if your calories are not at a certain point. It's really hard to explain, but stopping counting my calories was like something very, very difficult. I also had to realize a little bit, because since it was the beginning of our relationship, it means that if I wanted to spend more time with him, I had to spend a little bit less time working out or at the gym or whatever. Just because like sometimes we'd want to go to an event or do something together, but normally I would spend that time working out. So I had to accept that sometimes like exercise isn't always the priority. Also, like when we went out to eat, it wouldn't, like we would just go out to eat like before going to a movie or going out to eat before doing this, or we would just like, when you first go out with someone, there's a lot of eating out. It's usually what happens. There's a lot of eating out, and it took me, I used to feel guilty all the time. It was something that was very, very hard for me to accept. Yeah, I got a lot better at it, so now I'm okay, but it took me a long time to just accept that it was okay to eat out sometimes. And then also, I did move out. I moved in with James, and then so basically like his parents moved to somewheres, and then we both decided to move with them in their basement. So we were basically living in the basement of their house. And then I started university. So that was another like huge thing, where in university, exercise is not the priority, because sometimes I would have too many projects and it would just stress me out more to try to go to the gym than actually just like taking the time to study. So I would feel guilty. So it would take out like, it would take me a lot of energy, like feeling guilty about not going to the gym or finding the time to go, then it would just focus on my work and not even worry about it, right? Because like a couple days of not working out is not going to be the end of the world. So that took me a long time. Also, since we were living with his parents, then, well, my parents weren't cooking for me anymore, and I wasn't really cooking for myself a lot of the time, because his mom was nice enough to make meals for us. Like I would come home from university and she'd have supper ready. So obviously, like, why wouldn't I eat that food? Because like it's already made for me and it saves me time. So the only thing is that it wouldn't be made in the way that I normally would make it, in the sense that she would use like white rice instead of brown rice, or she would do something with prepackaged food, let's say. And she would do, like, her food is friggin' amazing, and I'm not saying it wasn't amazing at all. It's just that I would just be like so stuck in my own head that like I would just like, no, I can't eat that. Or if I did eat it, I would just feel so guilty about it, instead of just like eating the food because it was made for me and she was nice enough to make me food, instead of just like, just eat the food instead of like overthinking about like everything about it, right? Like I made food like so much more complicated than it actually like should be. So that took me a long time to get over as well. Also, another thing that happened is that I started working in a gym. So my first job in a gym was at Fit for Less, and I worked there for like 2 years. But when I first started working there, I think it was when I first started university, I'm not sure, but basically, since I started working there, like I was still kind of new to the fitness and the exercise stuff in the gym atmosphere, because I used to just work out at home, and all of a sudden I just ended up being like in a gym with a lot of different opinions, a lot of different ways to train, a lot of different styles and all that stuff. So basically especially there was a lot of bodybuilders there actually. So I was technically like trying to get away from obsessing over food and like using exercise to burn calories and all that stuff. So because I was doing that, and then all those bodybuilders, like I found out about bodybuilders because I honestly didn't really know about them that much. And then I was like, okay, that's how they train. They train like 2 days a week. They follow a very, very strict plan, and then they look like that. And then it kind of made me question, it's like, oh, and what I'm doing, is that bad? Or because I was trying to get away from counting my calories and tracking and all that stuff. And then I would hear stuff from other people doing this and this and this and this. And the first like a few months at working there, it got really, really confusing. I didn't know what to think anymore. I didn't know where to place myself. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what was right and wrong. So I took a lot of time to do research. I think a few months before I stopped working there, I ended up becoming certified as a personal trainer. So the course obviously helped me a lot in learning about it. I started, I think that's my next slide. So basically, I also started removing a lot of people on social media, and I started getting really picky on who I'm following because I wanted to make sure that I was following people that were, that had like valid information, like credentials, they knew what they were talking about, and I knew I could trust the information that they were providing, basically. And trying to get away from like all the crazy diet culture stuff. So that's basically what I was trying to do. So I just unfollowed a bunch of people, and it helped me a lot. So yeah, so that's what I did, and that helped me a lot. So I started educating myself with the course, with a lot of articles. I did my own research, doing a lot of scientific articles and stuff like that. And then I did a lot of self-work, so trying to build up my relationship with food and exercise. And obviously with like following the right people, it helped me a lot because I could relate to health and fitness in a different way. So that's what kind of like a lot of stuff that I do right now is that I don't really focus on weight with my clients, and I just focus on like performance and feeling good and building healthy habits and having good thoughts about yourself and all that stuff. So that kind of comes from like the stuff that I learned through the stuff that I looked up online and the other people that I started following and all that stuff. I also learned that there's, like I said earlier, that there's no good or bad food, that food is just food. There's some that are more nutritious and some that are less nutritious. And that's also another thing that I learned about, is that to change the language about how I talk about food. So instead of talking about food as like, this is unhealthy, this is healthy, this is junk food, this is a cheat meal, blah, 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 I just started talking about food in a different way. So that's more nutritious, that's less nutritious, because it kind of removes the negative connotation of it. And then that helped me a lot. I stopped calling meals cheat meals because the word cheat meal would just make me feel like I'm cheating on something, but really I'm not. I'm just eating food, right? So it's just part of living. You're gonna have a burger once in a while. You're gonna have a piece of cake and stuff like that. I didn't like calling it a cheat meal because it kind of brought back that negative connotation to it. I also learned through all of that there's more than one way to be healthy. What works for me might not work for you, and so on. So that helped me a lot. I learned that exercise is not always the priority. So like I said earlier, with university, I had to kind of like realize that I couldn't always exercise the way I wanted to. So yes, it's important to be active, but I learned that you don't have to work out like 5 or 6 days a week for like an hour each. You can do home workouts and do less time. You can work out less times a week. You can do 3 times a week and stuff like that. So that took me a long time to realize, but I think it's something that's really important to share. And yes, like I said, I don't focus on weight loss anymore or changing my body. The only thing I focus on is performance, and then shape. Like sometimes I'll focus on building muscle, but it's more for health benefits. And yes, sometimes it can be for looks, because everyone wants a big booty, right? So that sometimes you work a little bit on looks, but my main focus isn't on looks. It's just a secondary part of why I exercise and do all that stuff. Hi, Haley. And also I found out that basically our bodies are healthy at a certain, we all have that like certain weight where our body's healthy and like thrives at, let's say. So as long as you have like healthy habits and you go to the doctor and you come out and all your blood works good, the doctor clears you as you're like top notch, you're all good. It doesn't really matter what weight you have. As long as you have the healthy habits and that you're doing things in a healthy way, your weight doesn't really matter. So that's something that took me a long time to realize. And yeah, so that's basically, that's it. I went through everything I wanted to talk about. That's my journey. That's all of it. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that. And if you have any questions, I'll stay on for a couple more minutes so you can ask me your questions. I do see something here. Oops. I don't know if I can read it from here. Did you have to reach out for help, or did you ever receive a diagnosis? I'm always interested in learning how others who are similar situations that me were able to get out of the cycle. So I didn't really get a diagnosis. I just kind of like when my boyfriend made me realize that what I was doing was kind of like not healthy and normal, I kind of snapped out of it. And then I did my own research. I would say I have what's called like disordered eating. So it's not really an eating disorder. I honestly don't know if I did have an eating disorder or not, because I didn't go check. I would just call like I just had a bad relationship with food and exercise. And let's see. I didn't really like necessarily reach out for help, which I honestly probably should have. And anyone who does come talk to me and I feel like they need to go see someone like a therapist or go see their doctor or something, I definitely 100% send them that way, because I think that's super important. And I wish I did go see someone, because it probably would have been easier for me to like manage all of that. And I feel like sometimes I still go back to my old ways. I'm just like a lot faster at catching it, because I know it now, and I know myself and all that stuff. But yeah, I didn't go see I didn't go see anyone to diagnose that. I'm interested to know if you said you had a similar situation. Did you go see anyone? I'm curious to know. And then if anyone has any more questions, let me know. I'll stay on for a little while longer. Thank you for everyone who watched. And if you're watching this live after, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any issues with food and your body and what's your story. I'd like to know all of that. So make sure you let me know. And send me a message anytime. If you need help also, if you're watching this and you're like, hey, I relate to that a lot, and I think I might have an eating disorder, let me know, and send me a message and I'll help you find a professional for sure. So don't hesitate. And like I said, I wish I did go see someone just so I could know for sure if like what was wrong with me, I guess. But I think a lot of it comes from, I don't think I necessarily did have like an eating disorder. I don't think so. I didn't go check, so I'm not sure. But I do know that a lot of the thoughts that I did have came from a lot of diet culture, which is why with my social media stuff, I do try to kind of counter all the bad misinformation that's put out there from people that are just trying to gain money from people's insecurities and stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do with my social media stuff. And I think the reason I did develop a bad relationship with food was also like in my body, was just like the comment from my family member, but also all the stuff like you see in magazines, social media, in movies, all that stuff. Like I remember watching the movie Grease and wondering why I wasn't as thin as the main character in there. I forgot her name, but the blonde one. So I was like, you know, I'd watch movies and I would compare my bodies and be like, why am I not that thin? Why am I not like that? Why am I not like the girl in the magazine and stuff like that? Why do I have cellulite and stretch marks and why don't they? You know, just stuff like that. So that's why I'm trying to keep like my social media and share stuff like that so that other people kind of realize that magazines, movies, all that stuff, everything is so controlled. Even on social media, half the time, people are photoshopped or they edit the hell out of their pictures. And I don't think that's very like natural. I don't know why we're so afraid of becoming like, of just being humans. I mean, like, I don't know why we're so afraid of just showing off the cellulite and the stretch marks because they're completely normal. But if I would have never said that, like, let's say, how long ago was it? Like 7 years ago, I would have never said that. Let's see. So I was seeing someone for other reasons, and my therapist made me realize I had an eating disorder. Of course, I was in denial. My diagnosis was NOS, eating disorder, none otherwise specified. Oh yes, I did hear about that, and I'm kind of curious to see if I did have an eating disorder or not. I know it wasn't anorexia, and I know it's not bulimia because I don't like fit into those categories. It could have been a little bit orthorexia, but I don't think so really because I didn't like really obsessed about the quality of the food that much. So it might have been that, but I'm not sure because I didn't check. But it's maybe something I should do. I don't know if I could still do that, but yeah. Well, thanks for sharing your story, Julie. That's really nice. I'd love to talk to you more about that. That'd be awesome. All right. I think I answered everyone's questions. If you are watching this live after, please make sure to leave your questions if you have any in the comment below. And then make sure to share this live with someone else if you think that it could help them. And yeah, share on your feed or in like personal messages and stuff like that. That would be awesome. And 100% send me a message if you have any questions. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next live.